They come from another world.
Listen to me. Please listen.
Johnny, that was a terrible ISIS attack on that theatre in Russia. Oh yeah, Johnny, it's bloody horrendous. Yes, that's right. But Johnny, do you find anything a bit strange about the whole thing? Weird? Strange? What are you talking about? Yeah, strange. I mean, as soon as I heard it, and it was said straight away that it was ISIS, someone come out straight away and said that it was ISIS, I thought, that's a bit weird. ISIS going into Russia? Just like that after nothing? Well, yeah, it is a bit bloody weird now you mention it. And I'm not the only one who thinks it's a bit bloody strange.
So there was a terror attack in Moscow, right? Which George Galloway calls the greatest city in all of Europe. And they're now blaming immediately. The United States knew it was ISIS.
At minimum, the United States created this problem.
Now it ends up these blokes, Johnny, they're caught. They've all been tortured, tortured out of them. And they've all come up and said that some outside party was paying them money to go and do this sort of thing. Holy shit. Now, that doesn't sound like a bloody committed bloody ISIS fighter. They just want to go and do it because they want to fucking die and go to wherever the hell they go. Having to pay these blokes to do it, and they all seem a bit dumb, to be quite honest. Yeah, perhaps that's because they've had the shit kicked out of them, but still, they seem to be a bit dumb. Well, Johnny, it's certainly an interesting theory, and you've got to wonder who did put up the money for them to do this.
So on March 7th, there was a security alert. Avoid large gatherings over the next 40 hours in Moscow, Russia. Where did that come from? That came from the U.S. Embassy and consulates. And so that came from the State Department. So how did the United States government know about this?
To do with it. Here's the problem. There are a lot of inconsistencies in what's been portrayed here in relation to ISIS. Some things just don't seem quite right. They're a little off. They could be ISIS. They could also be an additional hand behind it. They could have been using ISIS.
And Putin seems to think it's sort of a bloody inside job from the US. A little bit like the Nord Stream pipeline.
Immediately, the United States knew it was ISIS. 2 years later, they don't know who did the Nord Stream pipeline bombing, but they knew the next day that this was ISIS.
You really got to think about why ISIS now all of a sudden would be doing that. Well, I suppose, yeah. And sending these half a dozen 6 dumb bastards in to do this, for what apparent reason?
This is what's incredible. That as soon as this story was told, the New York Times were able to immediately say that Ukrainian intelligence involvement was not a credible theory.
But Johnny, surely.
What is the evidence that the New York Times and Washington Post had access to that enabled them to immediately make that claim? The New York Times and Washington Post have promptly initiated a campaign to deny the involvement of the US and Ukraine in this attack. Both outlets immediately dismissed Putin's statement about a connection to Ukraine, citing unnamed US security officials. Okay, could you be a bit more specific?
But Johnny, couldn't it just be ISIS just bloody letting off some steam? You know how they do.
Without providing any evidence, they simply echoed the claims of the White House and Kiev, made almost as soon as the attack occurred, that neither the US nor Ukraine were involved. Now, many of you will have noticed that, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, the US issued a warning that there will be a terror attack. Now what we need to know is, where did the perpetrators of this terrorist attack come from? And is it possible that they could have any relationship at all with either Ukrainian special forces or US forces?
Well, who would know, Johnny? Who would know? Johnny, hold on. The CIA? Well, Johnny, I think that's a bit of a conspiracy theory. I reckon that's not...
Well, then after the attack, they were asked, hey, how'd you know about this? And watch this.
Not aware of any advanced knowledge that we had of this terrible attack.
We didn't have any advanced knowledge of this thing that we predicted exactly that would happen. We didn't have any advanced knowledge. That's what he's saying. Watch this.
On March 8th, the embassy warns of imminent attack in Moscow by extremists.
Yeah, I think that I'll let the State Department speak to that. But I don't think that was related to this specific attack. Really.
So you're saying that the CIA, the US CIA, could be involved to sort of stir up things in that area for what apparent reason? To stir up, probably to destabilise the whole area and get bloody the Russian people. Holy shit! Well, probably it's to get the Russian people on the side of Putin, or maybe well, I don't know.